Tana for love everyone, my name is Fatima Loy and I run Tima Talks. I am about to show you guys a few snippets from a podcast interview that I did the other day with the amazing Shaneel. Shaneel is one of the most amazing and fierce and most courageous young person I've ever met. At only age 19, Shaneel has stood in front of Parliament and is currently fighting for the ban of gay conversion therapy, and you'll hear more about that throughout the podcast. So my views are totally different to Shaneel's. He believes one thing, I believe the other, and what I love about this conversation is that it's an actual conversation. No one's right, no one's wrong. It's about understanding each other and finding a sense of connection so we can carry on loving each other. I'm a Christian, I'm open about that, and I'm very proud of that. I'm a Jesus lover. Shaneel isn't. So it was a very hard conversation to have, but what I love about the conversation is that we both came into that space or with intentionally being loving and respectful. And Shaneel, thank you so much, and I hope you guys enjoy the podcast. Let me know if you have any questions. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, of course, subscribe and follow the podcasts on Spotify and iTunes. Alright, so tala falava and bulavinaka namaste everyone. I am here with the beautiful, the one and only Shaneel. Now introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Shaneel Lal, and I'm a 19-year-old immigrant from Fiji.
You would not think so. I honestly, when she went, we'll talk more about that.
Yeah.
When Shaneel walked in, I honestly thought Shaneel was 24 years old or something like that. Shaneel has done some incredible work, and the first time I heard of you was on an Instagram clip where you're speaking in Parliament and crack jokes and just that typical island humour in Parliament. So we are doing a podcast, so I encourage you guys to click on the link in the description below and have a listen. It's available on Spotify and iTunes. Just search up Tima Talks. And yeah, what are we going to be talking about? What should we tell them?
We're going to
just
talk
in the summary.
A lot about decolonisation, a lot about faith and religion, and LGBTQIA plus communities in our Pacific community. Yeah.
I mean, what has been the biggest learning experience for you just in this? I wouldn't call you an activist. Would you say you're an activist?
I'm like, have you heard about why would you call someone an activist for wanting clean water?
Amen.
True. Why would you call people activists for wanting basic human rights?
Exactly. That's true. Because it's not extreme. It's just normal. You want basic human rights.
Yes, exactly.
100%. So Shaneel and I have different views on same-sex marriage, and for me, what I want to show in this podcast is that just because you don't have the same views as someone else doesn't mean it needs to be. How should I say it? Yeah, and it doesn't have to be negative.
Yeah.
That's just a simpler word. It's really about finding that common ground and understanding each other, and then having respect for each other and moving on and letting the other person live their lives. And that's my views. It's like I don't support some of the things that Shaneel supports, but I do support that Shaneel is speaking his truth and just doing what he thinks is best for himself, and I'm all for that, But yeah, talk to us about. So you went to Otahuhu College, OC. I went to Macaulay.
Oh, we're neighbours.
Yeah, we're neighbours pretty much. But I finished 20 years ago. No, I finished 11 years ago. And you've just finished high school.
I finished last year.
Oh my gosh. What was it like being from Fiji and going straight into high school here in New Zealand?
If you look at Otahuhu College and you look at the demographics,
so diverse.
Yeah, so diverse. And I think 90% of people would be Pacific Islanders and Maori, and then you have the other ethnic communities and that little bit bunch, and you have 3 white people.
Yeah.
So
that's so true. That's like at Macaulay. It's either Samoan, Tongan, or Indian, or Fijian Indian. Yeah,
that's interesting because you fit right in, except for then you realize that the teachers are very different because the school's population is not representative of who teaches.
That's so true because at Macaulay all the teachers are South African.
Yeah,
it's so it's very different, and it's but yeah, what was it like going to school in Fiji?
I went to schools in Fiji. They're wild. They're wild.
I've seen. I was in Suva and we were at the bus station, and I went to go buy a drink, and all you hear is later. I swear to God, all the kids.
The funny thing is that it's completely not acceptable to swear in school or classes. And in public everyone does it.
Yeah.
But in New Zealand schools everyone swears. Even teachers swear at kids.
Really?
Yeah. I
went to a good Catholic girls' school.
I went to OC, so don't come for me.
Yeah,
we're the OGs of OC.
Yeah. But what was it like for you growing up in your school, in Fiji?
In Fiji, Well, you think about it, like as diverse as it is, I went to a Christian school from the beginning. I went to a Christian primary school, I went to a Christian...
You're Christian?
No, I don't follow a religion. There's an interesting conversation.
We're going to talk about it. Yeah. That is why you need to listen to our podcast. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that.
We're going to talk more about like religion versus faith, which is where I said more on the faith side rather than religion. So I was raised a Hindu, and I went to a Christian school, and my family is made up of Muslims. So
you're really a real fruit salad.
Yeah, I was in the middle of like everything. Yeah. So that's
no wonder why you're so wise. You know, no, seriously, like for a young person, you're so wise. You've had so many different, I guess, life influences in your life.
Yeah, because I've got like Indigenous people in my family, and then I've got like people who aren't Indigenous, and then I've got like I moved to New Zealand, and I've got all these white people.
Yeah, and now you're Māori. No, and now you're Tima.
No, I own the land.
No, I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. So talk to us quickly, just for our YouTube family, for the Tima Talks YouTube subscribers. Thank you again for those of you who subscribed. Talk to us about what gay conversion therapy is.
Well, gay conversion therapy, a professional definition would be that anything that aims to change someone's LGBTQIA+ orientation to heterosexual and or cisgender.
And that exists?
Surprisingly, yes.
I thought that was like old school stuff.
I wish it was a problem with the past, but a survey came out a couple of weeks ago called Counting Ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And 17% of the 1,178 transgender non-binary people that were surveyed had experienced conversion therapy by a medical professional. You know, so let's not even get started with the
yeah, exactly. That's what I was just about to touch on there. Like, I think being a Christian, I know that deep down in our messaging, we're trying to say, hey, pray yourself straight, you know, and even though I somewhat agree with that, because I do believe that, and we'll talk about that, I personally do believe that being gay is a choice, and again, we're going to have a really healthy, open, honest, respectful conversation around that. I'm kind of like, because for those of you who know me personally, one of my best friends is gay, and I've known it since I've met him. You know, like, so then sometimes when my own people of my own faith say it's a choice, there's even my own first cousin, I'm like, nah, it wasn't a choice, you know. I'm like, no, I've seen it in him since he was a little kid, and he's always loved the Barbie dolls, you know. Like, it's just, so we're going to talk about that, and talk to us about what your plans are for the future and how you want to serve your the rainbow community.
Absolutely. So
not your rainbow, our rainbow community. Sorry, see, these are the things that I need to still learn, like the words.
So, I mean, I've been an engineering student, absolutely hated it because of how boring it was. So don't do engineering.
It's not worth the money.
$10,000 a year.
Especially when you're an international student.
I was.
It was.
International students, $45K.
So you're a citizen now?
I am a resident now.
Oh, you're a resident even? So that's a Whenua.
The colonizers kind. So I'm going to go back to University of Auckland.
The best! This is where I graduated from!
Bunch of racist people there.
Yeah, it is. So it's very elitist.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to go back and I'm going to study a Bachelor of Arts and Science conjoint, studying psychology and politics. And I am currently associated with Amnesty International. I'm in the International Youth Taskforce. I'm a global youth leader for Open Government Partnership. And this is my second and last year with the Minister of Education's Youth Advisory Group, and I plan to take the campaign, the Anti-Conversion Therapy New Zealand campaign forward. You're going to see him on the news. Maybe I'm going to be like Mr. Gay New Zealand tonight. I think that's a real thing. What? Mr. Gay New Zealand is a real thing. Oh yeah, I've heard of that. And there's like an international competition as well. I got nervous! Alright, ready? 1, 2, 3. Tala falava maraso for mawa malilangi mama. My name is Fatima Lui, and this is the Tima Talks podcast. Hello to those of you who have tuned in. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is going to be an amazing episode, and I hope you've followed or subscribed to this podcast, Tima Talks, Spotify and iTunes. Alright, I am joined by a very special, amazing, most beautiful, most handsome oro level. No, sorry, we've just spent the last 15 minutes laughing. So, I have a beautiful guest here. So, please introduce yourself. What was that? Oh yeah, Shaneel Lau. My name is Shaneel Lau, and I'm really happy to be here today.
I am happy to be in Otahuhu. I went to school here. We both went to school. Yeah, this was like my old hood. But we're here in the library. There's a school holiday program going on, so the kids are going to be loud, but we're going to be louder.
We are in
we're gonna be louder. Talk to us a little bit about yourself.
What else am I going to say? I was born in Fiji.
Nice.
I moved to New Zealand when I was 14 years old. Before that, I went to primary school in Fiji. My parents were born in Fiji as well. We all migrated.
You're just Fijian, like yeah.
I've got all sorts of things going on.
Yeah.
My family and I migrated to New Zealand when I was 14 years old. I started school at Otahuhu College and I graduated from high school last year.
Yeah. Why did you move here? Because Fiji's so beautiful.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
But my whole family lives in New Zealand. I was like, come on, look at me.
Fiji's so beautiful. Well, yeah. Don't ever flick your hair like that. Okay, go.
Well, the thing is that my dad's brother and my mum's brother, everyone had moved to New Zealand. So my grandparents were the last people living in Fiji with my family, and so they migrated, and my family was like, well, there's no one left. We should move as well.
Yeah.
So it was more about a family thing at that stage, but now I think about it more like as an opportunities thing.
Yeah, yeah. And how have you found it so far? I mean, what do you like better? Do you miss Fiji?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
yes.
you would, eh?
Like when you're born in the islands, what you have is like a community-oriented childhood. So you know people. I mean,
so everyone can give you a hiding.
Yeah.
Every parent can give you a hiding.
Oh my god, that is so true.
It's so
like
true.
They would beat you up in school, and your parents would say, "Yeah, beat them up." Beat them up if they mess up. So like the whole school knows you, the whole village knows you. But like as soon as you move to New Zealand, you don't even know your neighbour.
Yeah, that's so true. There's no sense of connection.
Yeah.
That's so true, and that's why a lot of our Pacific Islanders get so involved in church and stuff, because there's just, I don't know my Balangi neighbour.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk to us about your upbringing.
My upbringing. Well, what about it?
So talk to us about your upbringing. What was it like for you as a male who identifies as gay? What was it like for your...
Well, the thing is that in Fiji, the word homosexual or gay doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
No one talks about it. It's like you don't acknowledge the existence of the community, and you just kind of just hope that it goes away. And it's like a phase that will go away.
Like we'll pray it away.
Yeah, we'll pray it away. But like the funny thing is in Fiji, it is illegal to pray the gay away.
Oh.
It's illegal in Fiji. It's funny, right? Because they do it anyway.
But what was it like? It's so true. You got mamas in the church like, I pray for my son to find a girlfriend. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not rolling my ass. So I'm not disrespecting Fijians, but I just love how they roll their ass. But what was it like for you? I mean, for your dad or for any males in your family? Were you treated any differently?
I never came out.
Oh.
You
just how you are?
Yeah.
I'm sure they can tell.
I mean, yeah, of course they should be.
It's like, I think my son likes men. I think they're really like, sure they can tell.
But the thing is, like, from a very early age, my family, they would say stuff like, they would say, talk to my grandparents and my parents, they'd be like, oh, you better get him under control before it's too late. And that's because I was a feminine child. And I was like, well, sis, what are you going to get under control? Like, aim it. Yeah. So,
it's like nothing's going to stop the boys from...
yeah, nothing's going to stop this beauty from...
So
it was like a matter of while there was no medical intervention, there was family and friends and our community, like religious groups. I mean, I've been prayed for multiple times, and the demon just couldn't on.
The demon's still there.
I am the demon.
Yeah.
So there was family and there was religious groups, but nothing that medically no medical intervention that actually harmed me physically, but you grow up in an environment where you know that people are actually not accepting of your identity.
Yeah.
So what kind of causes a lot of insecurity when you're growing up, and that's when you kind of internalize homophobia, and then when you look at a lot of people who have actually started conversion therapy programs are actually gay men who have come out recently.
Yeah. What was it like in school?
In school? Oh well.
In Fiji, not here in Otahuhu.
Yeah.
Not here in yours think Otahuhu College. Macaulay Hard, nothing. Yeah. Okay.
That explains your principal.
Stop! Got no comeback for that one. Yeah, go. What was it like for you in school in Fiji?
Fiji, like the thing is because, as I say, you don't acknowledge people's homosexuality or queerness. So, in islands, you are so restless, and you just can't And at the risk of sounding like I'm dissing the islands, there is no like politically driven motive in young people. Because, because there's really no threat that directly impinges on your daily basic life. So young people aren't very motivated to actually make political change, and so they won't be bothered if someone is different. And I think that's the beauty of it, because right now in New Zealand we have a situation where young people are put into situations where they have to give up their education.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And in Fiji that wasn't the case when I was growing up. Things obviously have changed in the 5 years that I haven't been there.
Yeah.
So young people weren't so like opposed to my homosexuality, and that was something that we never talked about. And like I grew up in the era of like Twilight, so every man and woman wanted to be a vampire. Like,
true.
How gay is that?
The gayest of the gay.
Yeah, I think
so you've spoken about the general attitude towards people who are gay in Fiji.
Yeah.
Now I want you to talk about the gay conversion therapy, because when I first saw you, which was on Instagram, and I feel really privileged that you're sitting right in front of me, you know, like a month later, here you are, and I saw you in Parliament, and I honestly thought you were like mid-20s, because you are such a leader. You've got so many leadership qualities, and I admire that so much, so I'm going to ask you about leadership afterwards. But talk to us about what you're currently fighting for.
Well, what I'm fighting for is a complete ban on conversion therapy in New Zealand. So as we were talking before, conversion therapy is any kind of service or therapy that people give to LGBTQIA people in the hope that they would turn to heterosexual and or cisgendered.
Yeah.
While there is absolutely no evidence that this works, there is an abundance of evidence that shows that it causes anxiety, depression, loss of sexual functions, and in the worst cases, suicide. In fact, there was a research by the University of San Diego which showed that people who have gone through conversion therapy have a 3 times higher chance of committing suicide.
Yeah, and that's true. I know that this takes place in the Christian church. There, you know, I think all of us are guilty, or not guilty, sorry. All of us do make efforts to pray the gay away, kind of thing. But where else does it exist?
Well, Counting Ourselves report highlighted that 17% of the 1,178 people surveyed, that's 200 people, had experienced conversion therapy through a medical professional. So we know that while it is unethical for medical professionals to practice this therapy, they still do it behind closed doors.
Well, what does this therapy look like?
Well, so it doesn't exactly have to be like someone beating you up behind the door.
But that's what used to happen though.
Yeah, because people have said stuff like with the Bible in the belt.
Yeah.
I can pray the gay way, but like you can't.
And that's happened like all over the world.
And like in America, there's private conversion camps where young people are, we don't know what happens because it's private. And in places like India, they use sexual assault to cure someone. Like just imagine trying to heal someone with sexual assault or rape. And New Zealand, it's more like, for example, I'll give you a rubber band. So you tie it around your finger, and every time you have homosexual thoughts,
you have to like
snap yourself. So they encourage you to.
That's self-torture.
Isn't? Yeah, absolutely yes. Because
like
it's not therapy; it's child abuse if you think about it. People ask you to abstain from sex. We've also had cases where young people are basically sat down, you sit with people that you trust and the people you put your faith in, and they tell you that you're broken, that you need to heal yourself, and they are damaged and their identity is wrong. And that is damaging. That is damaging because we know that when people are told that something's broken with them and people are already struggling with their identity, you know that like society does paint this picture of religion as being this wide thing, and that's when I think about, well, the Bible does say Adam and Eve and not Adam and Steve, but the Bible also doesn't say Adam and Beyonce, so like I don't understand how colored people or people of color relate to the Bible. So when I think about marriage being traditionally between women and men, I think that is a lie, because traditionally our Pacific ancestors didn't mind who got married to who. Actually, marrying wasn't even a thing. It was more of courtship and belief and trust and staying together in groups. So I talked about how actually our Pacific ancestors did not live the colonized life. In fact, they lived their open, truthful, loving and accepting life. And in colonialism, what happened was that the disgust with homosexuality from the British Empire had forced our ancestors to believe one way. And that is why when I think about like decolonization, what we have to think about is white issues, for example, women's rights and refugee rights and immigrant rights and queer rights, because it all actually shows us that we were living in a borderless country, and then colonialism happened, and we put up all these walls and borders and all these things that actually separate people.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, because it gives me more of an understanding, because I don't have the same mindset as you. Like, my thought process is totally different to what you've just said. So you sharing that gives me an understanding of being like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what you think.
Yeah.
So how can I, as a Christian, or how can Christians in general support the rainbow community?
Well, as you said earlier, that although you think one way, you don't actually go out of your way to express a view, actually to try to put people down. And I think that's a really good thing. You can have your views, and changing your mind, or like changing what you believe in actually takes so much time, and you actually may not change what you believe in.
Never.
And so that doesn't mean that in that process you have to hurt people.
Right, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So actually, like, you can believe in whatever you want to believe, as long as you're not pushing or enforcing it on other people that it may harm.
And not talking smack about them either. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, so just because you don't believe in being in same-sex, well, like for me, I don't support it, doesn't mean I'm going to go, oh, fuck, you know, like, you know, I'm not going to be like, oh, stuff them, like, you faggot, you know, because that's what's being said.
Yeah, absolutely. When you think about it, like, when you think about the Bible, like Timothy chapter 1 verse 12, right? And it says that I do not give permission to women to assume authority over men, or it says that women should remain quiet and or not become teachers and people in positions of power.
Okay.
But we then don't use that Bible verse to make laws in New Zealand saying that, oh, women can't be teachers or women can't be leaders, because we know that is misogynistic and that is sexist and that is not the
and then and I've got too many skills to know.
Exactly.
And as a woman,
we would miss out, and we have to realize that we have to look at the Bible, we have to learn it, we have to take the good things out, we have to take the good things and say, actually, this benefits me, and there are some things that actually don't apply to society anymore, and we have to say, hey, no, that doesn't work for me, and I shouldn't be practicing it.
Yeah. Amen. So it's cool. Is there any other way that I can, I mean, apart from what you've just said, is there any other way that I can, sorry, we'll start that again. Is there any other ways that I can do better for this community? Like, is there anything else? Because I really want to take as much as I can from this podcast.
When I think about like supporting people and why people need support, and that's mostly come back to actually what was the root cause. And usually people need support because they've been ostracized, or they've been alienated, or they've been given hateful thoughts and remarks. So maybe what we need to start with is, first of all, you're already doing it, is get rid of the negativity from the root, and then what we have to go into is almost a rehabilitation process where we reaffirm people, we tell them that whatever they are or whatever they're feeling is valid, and they are loved, and they are a part of the community regardless of their identity.
Amen. I tell my friend all the time, those who know me personally know who I'm talking about, I tell them, like, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, Jesus loves you. And I'll say the same to you, Jesus loves you, God loves you. You know, so, and he's like, yeah, I know, like, because he's Christian, and I'm like, he's like, I know, shut up, just okay. I'm just saying, just so you know that you are beautifully and wonderfully made, you know, so, and I don't believe gay people are going to hell, just so you know, like, for those who are listening, I do not believe that.
We have to absolutely get rid of the narrative of like the gays versus the Christians, because that shouldn't be a thing. Yeah, that shouldn't be a thing. Absolutely no. We shouldn't be like fighting.
Because there are a lot of gay Christians. So at my old church at St. John's Otara, all the queens from De La Salle, like they serve in the mass, they take communion, they just
we have to
they all believe in Jesus.
There are like some people from Christian communities who've come out and said some terrible things, and we've almost gone like all Christians are bad people, and we take what they say as the absolute truth or the facts. But there are so many religious people and so many people from the Christian-based community and the Muslim and the Islam that are accepting and loving of the queer community, and I think what we need to do is unite.